There we go. So, focus up here real quick. So for today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a deeper dive into the Treaty of Versailles. So on Friday, we looked at Woodrow Wilson's 14 points as well as the Treaty of Versailles itself. Today, we're solely going to be looking at the Treaty of Versailles. So to set kind of the scene that we're in, I have the warm-up up here. You're looking at another primary source. We're going to be looking at a series of primary sources today. Specifically, we're looking at a newspaper clipping that would have came out shortly after World War I ended is what we're looking at here. So you guys have these 3 questions to answer. So if you were a citizen of the United States at the time, how would you feel reading this headline? So kind of taking on that war had been going on, you're in the United States, so kind of how long have they been fighting, think things like that. Number 2, how would the soldiers fighting in Europe be feeling seeing this headline? You're looking at this one from the soldier's perspective now. Again, it's a European soldier, so if you want to be a British soldier, a French soldier, a European soldier, that's your creative liberty there. And then lastly, what might the Germans feel about the treaty at hand? Think back to some of the ways that Germany was being treated with the points found in the Treaty of Versailles. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll go over it and then start the lesson for today.
Doesn't matter, but that's okay. And this one today.
It did.
Way,
Thank you guys.
Who knew it was such a skill to write on the board?
I'm still guessing that black is from Miss Drake.
Yes,
And
but
then,
Mrs.
Josh, we
Drake
move
was
back to
blessed
table
with
6 for
good
me?
handwriting from the time I was a child, so.
Just I'm trying to even up the grade, sorry.
Yeah, that's him too. It's the Friday, that's mistake, the last. No worries. Have we finished up something you already have, like propaganda? Or no, we did propaganda, which was the last folder. And we finished,
We finished propaganda, and then we did
oh, we finished propaganda,
and then we
which
did
was
Treaty of Versailles and Woodrow Wilson's 14 points.
there we go, Treaty of Versailles and Wilson's 14 points. I had them in a reverse order.
And then let's bring it back together now. So looking at the first question, you were a citizen of the United States at the time, so at the time you would be getting this newspaper, how would you feel reading this? Can someone from table number 4 give me some of the things they were talking about for number 1?
I said that I would be happy
Why?
because people would come home.
Yeah, your families are going to be coming home. If you had soldiers away fighting in Europe, they're going to be coming home soon. Well, the fighting had been happening, and the United States, there was no fighting happening in the continental U.S. itself, but their soldiers were still sent away to Europe. So you'd probably feel relieved knowing that your family members are coming home. Thinking back to kind of some of those things that they were writing about from those letters in the trenches that we looked at. They no longer are facing those conditions and they're coming home. I really like that point that you have there. Graydon, yeah.
I also said happy because they don't get, because their family doesn't have to keep getting drafted.
Yeah, the draft is going to come to an end for a short time period. So no longer are soldiers going to be being shipped away, but we can truly come home and have that united home front again. Were there other feelings that people kind of talked about or mentioned? Everyone's happy. Yeah, Shane.
You feel like kind of sad, like if they're coming home and then like your family member doesn't like come back.
Definitely, there may be some grief as well, because you may have lost a family member in this. So, while the war is over, you still have that little bit of grief that it's like, I know that the war is over and my son, my brother, my close friend, they may not be coming home. So that was a true reality faced. Or even for some, they didn't know if they would be coming home or not. So there may be more anxiety or stress there. So I really like that point, yeah. Any others? Okay, moving on to the second question now of if you were a soldier fighting in Europe, how would you feel seeing this headline? Let's go to table 1.
They would be happy that they can get out of the trenches.
Yeah, they're going to be probably relieved and full of joy. They've been living in these awful trenches. We looked at those conditions that they get to go home now. The fighting is done. The goal that they had, they set out, and their goal has been completed now. So they're going to feel relieved, happy, all those kind of joyful emotions, they're going to be feeling those. So if you put something along those lines, that'd probably be how you were feeling. Lastly, thinking back to what we were looking at with the Treaty of Versailles and the treatment of Germans and of Germany as a nation as a whole, then learning about these conditions, what might the Germans feel about the treaty that had been signed? Kathleen?
They probably feel like angry because like that's very like severe on them.
They're gonna be angry at it. One, they were largely left out of the Paris Peace Convention, that these terms are gonna be forced upon them. And that's one thing that we're gonna look at in some of these stations, are some of those harsh terms that are being forced upon Germany, as well as that anger at the fact that there's gonna be this League of Nations created, but Germany is going to be shut out. They're going to be left out of it. So this international peacekeeping body, one of the major nations at this time, are going to be completely left out. So they'll have that feeling of being left out, that anger, that frustration in a way as well, because they were on the losing end of the war, so they did not achieve their goals. So frustration, anger, any of those kind of emotions are some things that the Germans might be feeling as they look at the treaty that they had. Really nice work with that warm-up, guys. You can put that away, and then if you can pull out your station's activity sheet, you picked it up by the light. If you did not pick it up by the light, it is in the bin back there, and you can go grab one. That, like I had mentioned, today we're going to be looking at the Treaty of Versailles as a whole. So there are going to be 6 stations. They're in groups of 6, and there's 6 stations around the room that they're going to go over significant points of the Treaty of Versailles. So what you're going to do then is at each of the stations is on this box over here on this side, I'm looking for a 2 to 3 sentence summary of that station, answering the question of how did the Treaty of Versailles affect the world. So if they're talking about harsh conditions of Germany and the conditions enforced on Germany, what's that going to do to the rest of the world? What's that going to do to Germany? How are they thinking about those feelings again? So an example of kind of a way to craft that is do the title of the station. So for this one I did, The Great War Ends Affects the Treaty of Versailles Because... How does it affect it? And you'll find that information in the station. And then this is seen in the source, so you're backing up the claim you make with evidence from the primary source that you're going to be looking at. So for each of the stations, you're going to have, there's two small paragraphs giving you information on a part of the Treaty of Versailles, and then there's also a primary source to represent that as well. For the primary source, what I'm looking for is going to be 2 to 3 observations. So you're looking for the meaning. What is the meaning of the political cartoon? What is the meaning of the headline? What does this look like? So some things that you'll want to look for are symbolism, especially in those political cartoons. Be on the lookout for symbolism. Be on the lookout for those military uniforms. Any captions or sub-captions, they're going to help you for this. So just be on the lookout. All those things that we've been looking at when we've done primary source analysis, remember all of those. Look for dates, look for captions, look for symbols, all of those, and take it slowly and piece by piece. And another thing, you guys are in groups. Use each other when you're looking at these. Share your observations with each other. Point things out. Don't do this on your own. You are in groups. Use your groups.
4 brains are better than 1.
And then lastly, one question about the station. What are you still wondering? If you don't understand what the caption is, what does this mean? What does this caption mean? What does this image represent? Something that you're still wondering, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take those questions and we're gonna look at them further later. So, well, my goal is to get these questions answered. I can't guarantee they will be, but that's the goal. So the questions that you're asking, if you have time and you get to the questions, again, talk about it with your table group. Be like, I don't know what this symbol represents. You have 4 brains working together. Some of you guys have 5 or 6 people working together. Use each other. You guys are great tools. I know you like to communicate because I have to tell you guys to stop talking some days. So I know you like to talk. So this is a great assignment to talk as long as the talking is on task. So for each station, again, I'll have the timer up on the board and I'll be circulating as well, kind of guiding you guys and helping steer you in that right direction. So the readings are going to be found. Each table has a manila folder. It's probably, if you already have not taken those out, take those out. And then you can take those readings out as well. You're going to have 7 minutes per station. So again, it is going to be moving a little quickly, but you're in groups. I trust that you guys can get it done. So that first station, you can begin working on now.
Okay, so let's all read it.
You like to read?
I'll make sure that this stays up on the board as well so you know what you're looking for. And have your eyes closed. There we go. Make sure if you guys are getting stuck in the reading, you're using your group mates.
Yeah, you guys are too quiet
We
for
can-
group work.
We can be chatting.
About the
I would-
activity.
I would recommend having one person read it aloud and the other people listen, and you guys can kind of rotate who does that. So I would recommend doing that so that you know you're all on the same page and you're not all trying to do this individually.
That contributed to
You guys doing okay back here? So for this, I would look at it never happened. Yes, but why did it never happen? And what was its intention versus what happened as well? So that there is still an effect on the world, because obviously it didn't come to be. So what does that tell us about the Treaty of Versailles and how it was set up as well?
Reputation.
You guys doing okay up here? Yeah, so they're kind of framing, guiding you to it, so. But the example is just kind of a template that you guys can follow, so you don't have to use that, it's just a way to help frame your thinking, so. If you write a summary sentence differently, as long as it's answering the question of how did the Treaty of Versailles affect the world, as long as you're using that and you're giving that pulling from the primary source as well, you can frame it any way you want, as long as you have that 2 to 3 sentence summary is really what I'm looking for. Or if you just want to renumber this, just do 4, 5, 6. We don't want to move it over. There we go. We got just under 3 minutes left.
I'm confused. What did y'all get for the second box?
I would start, if you haven't started looking at the sources and discussing the sources, I would start doing that.
Does it mean like international is bigger than the League of Nations? What'd you do? I was gonna say. Oh wait, Germany crawling out of the Versailles Treaty because that's the British. Oh, I thought that was the German war hat.
It is. Where is Adolf Hitler? What's Adolf Hitler going to be the leader of?
The like
Where are the Nazis?
out of
Germany.
Oh.
So it is not. It's going to be the creation of Nazi Germany. So knowing that, if we're looking at this, we have the Hitler Party. So what is it that the Hitler Party is doing when it comes to the Treaty of Versailles?
The Hitler Party is going away
Mm-hmm. They're
crawling out of it.
yeah. And what is that crawling out going to represent?
Them like about to have a rebellion.
A rebellion in a way? Not necessarily, but yeah. So the Nazis we're gonna have the Nazis basically take over, and we have this agreement in the Treaty of Versailles, right? So if he's crawling out of it, what is he doing to that agreement?
Disbanding.
Mm-hmm. He's not following it. He's gonna go do his own thing.
There we go.
We got just under a minute left.
Check out how strong my pencil
Yes.
is. My pencil is the strongest pencil on the face of this earth.
Wait, what have y'all said?
It should be very, like, what was your pencil? It'll bend under this weight.
Oh, Hitler rising to power.
See, yeah, it's bending a tiny bit.
I'm gonna give you guys another minute because I know a lot of you haven't gotten to the source yet. I want to make sure you're able to do that. So
Mine's heavier than theirs. It's bending.
for this one, here is gonna be some observation.
Mine will bend less.
What a simple so.
I said, did we get it?
And what is
Josh,
it?
Josh, can I see your water bottle?
I am doing.
Chance.
They're paying war
Chance.
reparations, and
Chance. Can I see your
the
water
large
bottle?
sum of it. In this case, where is Germany?
Chance, can I see your water bottle?
Looking at the image, yeah, it's weighing them down so much that
I
he's
need to see
unable
whose
to.
pencil.
It's those harsh payments that are going to be put on them is going to make it difficult to essentially.
I gotta show you my pencil's stronger than Shane's pencil.
Yep, one question, so
See,
what are you still wondering
mine,
about?
no bend.
Shane, can I look at this?
You don't have to write that.
Oh,
So the observation tank question.
there you go, Shane.
One question, one question, and then the observations, because your observations are being pulled away from it, and that's how you're getting your tutoring sentence.
Like, just like no scope. It was one of those bad scopes. No scope, just like, just like two of
Uh-oh.
Oops.
How are we on time still?
Muy
Good.
bien.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna have us rotate because I want to make sure that we get to all the stations today. So we are gonna go over and look at, so if you're missing something, don't worry, we're not turning this in today. So we are gonna look at it another day.
Yeah, they made the bomb.
Uniform well.
How would you like to read again?
The 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th Great war.
So, do we just do a summary of it?
There's gonna be that same pattern again.
So, summary, but like, how would we say it as the consequences of the treaty? Germany was forced to do anything, and then it
Essentially, yeah, and I would, some of the thing that because of the reparations that they had to pay, and because of that treatment of Germany, they're not gonna, well, looking at this political cartoon especially, we see that they're not gonna abide by it, and they're just, so, but definitely that's the significance of it, is that it's gonna be, the failure of the Treaty of Versailles is gonna be what leads us to World War II.
Oh, yeah.
Clear.
For primaries, I said Germany lost.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Germany lost because that's the
Germany lost the war. Period. Oh, okay. Too much. Germany lost the war. Period.
Are we doing up here? Okay.
Actually spoke. I said go.
So I like the conclusion that we have that Germany lost the war, but then look at it further now. What's going to happen after Germany loses the war? The League of Nations, specifically the Paris Peace Convention, and is Germany going to be there? So through Germany losing the war, they're faced with difficulties now, especially when we're looking at this one here, that we have the Big Four represented there as well. So, and I would pay close attention to our sub-headline here as well, especially the World War Ends Armistice sign. The Kaiser is out. The Kaiser is going to be the leader of Germany. It's going to lead to a Germany revolution. So, pay attention to those things.
So for like an observation, could I put Kaiser as well?
Mm-hmm. Through losing the war, he's going to be forced out essentially. So, oftentimes when a large empire loses a war, especially one to this scale, they're going to be forced into changing. So it's similar in a way to what we saw with the Russian Revolution, that they pulled themselves out of World War I, and then the Tsarist regime ends and the rise of communism. So we're not going to see the rise of communism in Germany, but if you think back to that last station that you guys just did, what party are we going to see the rise of?
Kaiser Wilhelm. Okay.
I just give some like
Muhammad Ali.
I'd go invisible with the shockwave grenades. They wouldn't even see it. The second they do it, I just shockwave grenade back.
It's twisted. It's totally
Okay.
This one makes no sense.
Where are you getting stuck? Okay. So, what was the goal of the League of Nations? To prevent any future global conflict, essentially.
Oh my gosh.
Was the League of Nations successful in that? Okay. So, looking then at that political cartoon on the bottom, what is preventing the bridge from being finished? Mm-hmm. So, and then thinking back again when we looked at America in the war, the USA does not join the League of Nations. So by the United States not joining the League of Nations, what does this political cartoon say? Mm-hmm. And then looking at the bridge, is the League of Nations as successful as it should be? No, because it's missing that centerpiece, that keystone, which is going to be that signature mark. The United States is going to come up with this and then be away and not enforce it.
Dude's a lot bigger than Texas. Dude's like half of America. You have 40 seconds to get
40 seconds. Oh, by golly, the time is running out fast.
Oh my god. Arizona's bigger than
Arizona is not bigger than Alaska.
Just
Alaska is so big.
Alaska's like bigger than like grocery shop. Rhode Island is bigger than Alaska. Dude, Mexico
Rhode
like
Island is not a thing. Yeah, bro,
I think
Alaska is bigger than Mexico.
You wanna know
We're going to rotate to that next station now.
South. How's it going? Hi, camera. I just wanted to, hi, camera. Shane. Who's reading? I get a drink.
Hello. So far, so good.
Guys, we just did it wrong.
I guess I'm going to get the hang of the source analysis. Okay.
There's this one.
Okay.
What happened? Nothing.
We're still recording. Good. We're gonna discuss over it on Wednesday, since tomorrow's Multicultural Day. But we're gonna get all the source work done today.
Will
so.
I get to see you tomorrow?
Possibly, probably
I mean,
not.
maybe out and about, but.
I'm probably not gonna go to school.
Do you think it's worth it going to school tomorrow?
I think it's a cool event that you should. There's a lot that you can learn about it. So
What will we partake in tomorrow?
It's just gonna be a fun day,
Mhm.
fun activities.
that it's you may it's still good to learn more. There's always
Christmas.
room to learn more.
Hanukkah. Day of
Yes,
Dead.
yes, always room to learn more about other
The
cultures.
culture and a holiday. Japan.
Japan is a
Mr. Hardy, can you help me?
I learned about new stuff
Let's
every
make
day.
sure we're staying
I get how it's
in
like,
the source. So
I get how it's like against Germany and then and so like what are we supposed to write down for it? Like
what is the Treaty of Versailles going to lead to?
Punishments to Germany.
Punishments of Germany. And we see the Hitler Party crawling out of the Versailles Treaty. So, if he's crawling out of it, what do you think that means? He's in relation to literal concepts. What is it saying about Nazis and the Treaty of Versailles?
That they're trying to like so everything to like not be
I like what you said. That they're trying to not be restricted by it. So they're crawling out of it. And does it looking at the image? Does it look like he's freely crawling out, or is he being restricted?
He's squished.
trying to like bring them back into it.
Yeah, they're trying to keep him in, but mostly he wants out. And if he wants out, and this is where knowing that World War II is happening, and World War II has happened, so you can use some of that kind of modern history there. What is it that Hitler is? What is it saying about Hitler and the Nazis and the Treaty of Versailles?
They don't like it.
Yeah, they don't like it and they want out. He's not gonna follow it essentially.
Yes. But then for the writing, would you say like the Germans? Was he from Germany? Yeah. The Germans didn't like the Treaty of Paris. What was it called?
The Treaty of Versailles. So it would be that I would say it's probably like the harsh punishments that were placed on Germany.
They didn't like it.
It further.
Now you do.
It led to further conflict rather than that global resolution of world peace.
Do you read? Wait. When you guys grade everything, do you like read word for word, right?
I usually pick one or two boxes,
Oh,
and
okay.
but
This is
But you never know which boxes they're gonna be next, so you gotta do them all right.
I
yeah,
was just saying, like, I don't know how you read this.
Her handwriting is really
you
bad.
have practice.
That is crazy.
So is mine though.
Mine's pretty.
Are you able to read my handwriting?
Can you read mine?
Yes,
Can you
I can read pretty much everyone's.
I think mine's pretty good.
Even this.
Yes,
Wait, try to read that
I've
sentence.
guys, I've graded your papers before.
Wait, just try to
So
read this. Read out loud.
the consequences of the treaty.
Yo.
I usually can piece it together. Of the treaty,
Can help you
war, not trying to be in it, and then they did.
How did you spell the war as in W-A-R? How we
Or is W?
That's it. No, they were.
Yeah.
Like, when did you say they were?
But yeah, make sure,
Oh my god.
yeah, we're staying in it, guys.
They did German.
And are you guys doing okay up here? Okay. And make sure that we're writing those questions for each of these stations as well, guys. I'm seeing really good observations, but I'm missing that key detail of those questions.
Mr. Hardy is a really good teacher.
And then from my observation, the bridge was the nicest. The day when the dog
Yo, he walked by as soon as you said that.
It was going to be in 2 boxes. If you just draw an arrow over so I know. I mean, I'll understand because I'll look through the boxes and I'll be like, oh, wait, they were supposed to go. That's, I do. So those are supposed to be in those 2 different boxes.
Just the observations on this box.
That's anything that has to do with the primary source. So the questions, the observations are in that box. You can use information from that box in your summary sentence, but specifically we're looking at that's all.
If the dog is in poor
The bells are working.
Holy cow! Mrs. Drake, the light is scaring me.
Rotate to the next station.
Sometimes I act like that. I'm like, ugh. Ow! That hurt, bro.
Yeah, I'm working on stuff with my gone, so I just needed this is way too short. Way There we go. Did you make it so it doesn't fall back?
I don't think I did.
Oh. Sorry.
Did it just go down on you?
Yeah, I pressed the button.
Sorry, I'm so tall.
Yes, no, it's okay. I'll wear it.
6 more. 6 4. 6 4. Yes. How are we doing back here? Okay. So if we're looking at it. If we're looking at it, so it's the only way out of it. Now that is the German leader. Can you see that? What do we notice here? Specifically, what do we know, how do we know he's German? Yep. So if it's, and then what do we have all the way at the top here? What's separating the German leader from peace?
I said the treaty led to
Wilson's
partisan
fourth.
independence.
Specific, it's gonna become the
Germany
treaty of
became
Versailles.
financially lost.
Some of those
Some say
aspects,
these
but
treaty terms caused the rise of
it's Versailles.
We'll get it fixed.
The Treaty of Versailles. It's French.
Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, the treaty led to harsh punishments to Germany, and Germany became financially lost. Some say these treaty terms caused the rise of Hitler and were responsible.
Where are you seeing that? Looking further into the headline, we're looking at the other stations that we had.
Dude, I don't even know how this is.
So the United States, so United States, France, Great Britain, the Allies.
It says at the 11th hour, but on the newspaper it says affectionate 6 a.m.
So what it is the armistice is signed, so the official agreement of the war being over essentially before the peace treaty is signed at 6 a.m. But the ceasefire had stopped at 11:11. So that wasn't formally documented. That's also one thing to note. But obviously, we're not having a press member right in the fighting lines necessarily. So.
Yeah. So it just means that the official thing was signed at 6. And, alright.
It was signed at 6 and it was going in effect on 11/11 is what it is. So. But they have the formal document that says the fighting is going to stop at this time, and then.
Yeah. And then I also said Hitler.
They could have, but the war is pretty much over. So it's just that formal agreement that this is officially the ceasefire. So, yes, they could have kept fighting, but the will to fight the war had already been lost and won, so. We're going to have,
Obviously,
in World War II,
dominating the rabbit, right? The snake is
we'll
going to
see,
eat the rabbit.
but yes.
The snake is international. The League of Nations is the rabbit. The snake eats the rabbit. It's international. Maybe I should be born.
Did we put it, or is it in the shared drive or something?
I'm literally gonna cry.
I'm gonna fall asleep. Didn't you go to bed at like 4? That was your fault.
That was on Saturday. I went to bed at 11. I went to
And
bed
Matthew
at
said 4.
That was it. Back 2 days ago. I
Just had
You
it
said you went to bed at 4 and you woke up at 6. That's what you said in that today.
I woke up at like both days.
What are some of the questions that you guys came up with for this one?
That's what I came come up with.
What was it? International strife.
Oh, I didn't see strife. What's strife?
That's a really good question.
Is it like stripe, like international pride?
So what it's going, you can write that down for your question is what I was hinting at there. But what international strife essentially is going to be that global conflict that we continue having. So the international strife in this case is represented by the snake. And the rabbit is the League of Nations. And what was the goal of the League of Nations?
To not have conflict.
To not have conflict. But what is this cartoon saying is going to be stronger?
It's irony.
It's like we have this peacekeeping body in place, but international strife and that global conflict, you're not going to be able to get it to go away.
I did, yeah. Are they all the same shoes? No.
Rotate to that next station.
Bye bye. Adios.
Hi, camera. You're doing really well. Guys, after I got economic academic.